the Frogtown Curling Club for our Frogtown League Championship game. I am Peter Granlund, and joined with us is Brian Kimmis. Brian, you want to say hi to the folks at home?
Hi, folks at home. Glad you're with us. Excited for should be a good match of curling tonight, I believe.
I think so. So, Brian, can you tell us a little bit about these two teams that we got playing here?
Honestly, no.
Oh, great. Fantastic.
I've not curled against either of these teams.
You have not? Okay.
Yeah, so I don't know much. I know they right, clearly to get here, they're a good team. Right? You don't get to the Frogtown Club Championship without being a quality team. But yeah, these guys curl on different nights than I do, and never met them in a Bonspiel. So unfortunately, I'm coming in a little bit blind as far as what their strengths are.
So I do know we have Frog Legs facing Team Downs.
Yep.
As for the nights, I believe Team Downs is a Wednesday late team.
I think that sounds right. Yeah.
And I think Frog Legs came out of Tuesday late.
Okay. Yeah.
And you are joining us here in the middle of seconds stones for Team Downs. Team Downs being yellow color.
They set up to end well, right?
Yeah.
Without Hammer, right? I was looking for that center guard in the house center behind that, and so this is looking good.
Very nice draw.
Yep. Frog Legs tried to do that corner guard, curl a bit more than they would have preferred, and so now they're going to be chasing a little bit to regain control of the end.
Yeah. Is it time? Yep. It's time to start ripping that guard.
Yep. All right. Without the Hammer, I was looking to keep the middle of the ice open and. Right, with Downs, 3 rocks all touching the center line. You got to start clearing that open to make sure you have that shot at the end.
Oh, are they going to get a double? They are.
Great shot.
Excellent shot here.
Yep.
Oh, is it going to get all the way out? Oh.
And that's heads up sweeping there, right? Like you see that rock going. Oftentimes you rely on the skip to be the sweeping the opponent's stone, but it doesn't have to be the skip, right? Anyone can do it. So like, great job there of recognizing that and jumping on it to make sure that looks like it's out, but even if it's just a biter, it's a lot less dangerous if it's barely touching.
Still can be a sneaky problem late, depending on what happens.
Yep.
We're going to see them opt to put a guard back up.
Yeah, when you have Hammer, if you're worried about that biter, the end's gone wrong for you if you have Hammer. But it's the difference on right. Last shot of drawn, if you're looking at 2 or 3, that biter can just mentally add that extra pressure, knowing that you're sitting on that rock on the biter, and it's the same shot, but there's a huge difference when you skip as far as looking at my going against 2 or 3 if I miss this shot, and that's I've been that skip and I've missed that shot to give up that extra third point.
Whomst among us, right? Yeah. All right, are they opting to clear to run this back? Is that the call here?
That looks like
Looks like they're going to be on the outside of it. Ultimately, not terrible outcome. Oh, and they're going to, there they go. They get rid of that.
Get that, and then that sticks around. So again, with Hammer having, that looks like it's through the house.
Looks like it might be out.
Yeah.
Either way, you've opened up the middle again, and now you don't have that biter out on the wing to worry about.
Yeah, so like Downs here is just placing that guard and keeping things in the middle. They got 2 in the house, and so just continuing to junk it up there and make the third and the skips have difficult shots or have to move multiple rocks, and your last rocks is always a challenge. And so this is sweeping pretty hard on this one. Came out maybe a little bit lighter than they wanted to, but end of the day, it got to center. It
didn't move as much as they expected it to.
No.
It looks like really hung out there. The double's open. It's not easy, but it's definitely there.
Yeah. Looks like if you hit that right in the nose, looks like both yellows go.
And even if it does over curl a little bit, you likely get the roll under the guard, so not the worst outcome either.
Yeah. No. So there's anytime you're throwing, you go, all right, I don't need to be perfect. If I miss a little bit, right? Like there's you like that. I think the term I heard in the Olympics was the variance of the shot, right?
Yes.
Which is we used to call it the zone of miss, but apparently variance is the term people like to use now. Yeah, so that'll curl more than they wanted it to. It's the one out, but you would have liked the shooter to stick around there.
still forces a tough shot from Team Downs here.
Yep.
I think they want to opt to get back on that center line, maybe guard that back stone.
Yeah, right. And now you want one in front of the house here, right? Because with the back of a house, so it can, if it comes down to the last rock, the hammer, right? If you got that draw with the backing, that's much easier shot. So you want to put something in front of the house just to make it a more precise shot there at the end. That's running a bit. That's going to end up.
Looks like it's going to be a little deep. Maybe T line, T plus. Ooh, look at how much it curled back though. That's
Really
a pretty
curled at
good
the end.
outcome.
Yeah.
As long as that stayed in front of the tee.
Yeah, no, it's a good rock.
All right, just got some confirmation that we can be heard and that will sound good. So that's good.
Well, at least one of us sounds good, Peter. Yeah. I think that's probably you. So this is my maiden voyage here on the commentary. So I'm hoping just to not, say too many curse words. I feel like I'm not sure our 7-second delay is ready if I start dropping F-bombs.
I don't think we got to worry about that.
Oh, and then here, for those who can't see it at home, but the Sheedy Lounge is starting to get some fans, which is what we're excited for, right? This is a second year of this format, and really excited to have more spectators. When we used to be just the 5 teams make it, wasn't always a lot of fans here watching, which is a shame because right there's great curling happening, but now we got it's like about a dozen people in the Sheedy Lounge, and I know there's more in the club will come out, and it just. And one thing I love about Frogtown is, right, we encourage people to be vocal and cheer, and it's not the
absolutely not stuffy environment.
Yeah, not the quiet. There's no golf claps needed here. Yeah. Cowbells are encouraged.
So yeah, if you're nearby, you want to have some fun, come on out. We're having a party.
Yeah. Just a great celebration of the Frogtown Club. We've just have. This club has grown so much in the last 15 years or so, and it's just this is just a celebration of the great curling that happens, the great atmosphere. The people here are amazing, and just excited to come out on a Saturday night. And it's a beautiful day, but it's also quite nice in here too.
Yeah, quite warm in here right now.
Yeah,
comparison at least. Now you said this is your maiden voyage. However, I have been hoping that I would get you up here. I thought that you would be a good person to have talk through some of this, but extra special to have you here today because you're kind of the architect of this weekend in this current format.
I was a part of it. I would say I'm the architect of the food.
And that's what matters. So, like I said, you're the architect of the format.
Huge shout out to Dave Carey, one of the members and just massive volunteer here. He had 2 years ago kind of came up with this idea and pitched it to the board, and I stepped up on the board and said, yeah, let me work with Dave to figure this out. And it's just going from 5 teams to 16 teams. It's just a really, really great atmosphere. So now, right, so Downs here without Hammer has really set this end up nice.
Yeah, they've really turned. They've really made this a tough situation.
Yep, frog legs. I mean, obviously with Hammer, looks like the button's still open, but center line's guarded, so they're going to throw a hit here and try and clear probably 2. Right.
Hope to get 2.
Yep.
It's a little tight with how far over that top Yellowstone is, because I think you kind of want to get nose.
Yeah. They're on it pretty quick, so they're worried about crashing that guard. It looks like it is going to crash on that guard, which
it's not the worst miss.
No, but now with the Hammer, you're probably going to have to either let this situation make a really tough drop for 1, or you're going to have to throw a hit and go, all right, good end.
Take what we got.
Yeah. You eliminate 2 stones and go, all right, you had a great first end and you steal a couple. So Downs here, they're going to throw another center guard and force that really hard draw for 1. And it's, first end I haven't seen exactly. It seemed like there's decent curl on the ice, so I feel like you can get to the button, but you don't want to give up a big steal that first end. That just puts the pressure on the whole game, and mentally you kind of it right, being down a couple the first end, lots of time to come back, but how that changes your mentality, and the big thing there is to make sure that you don't change too much, right? Like you give up a couple, it's a long game, it's a club championship. You're going to give up a deuce. Now you don't want to give up a deuce without hammer, but you're going against a good team. They're going to make shots. They're going to score points. So let's see if they had a really good guard just off center to kind of protect those two rocks. Is really forces a tough shot.
Now, really, the only thing they don't want here is for this to be a little too deep.
Yeah, they're on it pretty early, so I don't think it's worried about being too deep.
I'd say that's a pretty good outcome.
Yeah. So again, now for all good is forced. Do you try that draw to minimize, or do you throw a heavy hit and try and get rid of two of those stones and just go good and steal a two? They're looking at to see if you can do it's like a hit and roll to the button.
Roll, down weight, maybe hackish, something like that.
All right, just got to get to the center line inside of that stone, and if you do that, it's
kind of hard to tell up here. We're at just ever so slight of an angle, but I do think it might be fully exposed.
Yeah, that might even just be if you just get to nose, you give them that broom. Yeah, they're throwing that down. They're looking at this is probably just back house weight. That's a lot of broom for hack, I think.
Yeah.
Ice is swinging, but I'm not sure it's that swinging. This is probably.
Well, and back house here, I think, as long as you don't spill your shooter out wide, you should still be able to get one by making contact with that, because you should be out counting that center line yellow.
Yep, I know, absolutely. This is the thing where I like learning what weights to throw. Obviously, club champions, these are good teams, understand that, but like the heavier your throw, right, risk of spilling that shooter. When you're coming down back house weight, as long as you make contact with that, your shooter should stick around, and even if you miss a little bit, you'll probably outcount something. Well, this looks a little light. They're on it real hard the whole way.
Yeah.
That's going to crash on that one. This is going to be a big steal for yellow.
Two at least.
Two or three. Yeah, it's hard from this vantage point. It's hard to tell exactly what that back yellow is, but that was just a light rock. Great start by Downs. I mean, that's what, you start without hammer, you're hoping to force one, and instead they stole a few, which is, again, that sets the stage for the game.
While they do this setup here, a little bit different from last year, we have a second game happening out here.
Yes. The inaugural Frogtown Biter Bracket Championship, known as King of the Lily Pad. And what's funny, Peter, is the Tyler Leonard, who's been running it, kept the exact format a secret. So I don't know exactly how they're playing this game. I don't know if you heard what the format is, but he was coy. My team was in the Biter Bracket King of the Lily Pad, and he was like, if you win, I will surprise you with the format when it happens.
Oh, interesting. Here, I thought this was a regular game. Maybe they're playing a Leaster.
Either it looks like to me, right, based on where the shots are, I think they're playing a biter game.
Oh, Bizarro curling?
Yeah, I think, they just good cheer for when over in sheet E when that's a biter, right? Part of the stone is outside the house. So I'm wondering if you have to have biters to score points. Again, I don't know. We should have a silent reporter for future to go down and let us know what's happening. But if you guys got split screen capabilities, turn on a sheet C and sheet E and watch just some great Frogtown curling.
Open up another tab and see what's going on over here.
Yeah.
I do. I think this is like reverse curling, where the outside stones are basically the button and the button is basically a biter.
Yep.
So you want to be closer to the outside. The scoring, the strategy around that is very annoying.
Is there strategy with that, or is it just throw and hope?
I mean, I think that's how a lot of folks tend to play it, but I guess there is also a possibility that they're shuffling it each end, but I do think that this has been both of the ends that they've played so far. Seems to be they're playing out towards the wing.
So here you are now back on Club Championship Sheet C, right? again, down set up where they had a closest center guard and they're trying to curl behind it, kind of hung out wide. But Frog Legs has one out wide, so that could be good. And it looks like here they're going to call, right, hit and roll.
Hit and roll under.
Yeah, which is, good call here. But, after losing control of the center of the ice in the first end, don't want to get in the same spot. And so knocking something out, it can roll behind, but you just don't want to be in the same situation where Frog, because that first end was chasing from the third rock on. And this hit came out wide. Yeah, they did steal 3, so they hung the score. So that was a steal of 3, which is
it's a strong start.
That's what you're looking for here. Right, and Downs just again throwing that guard. It's going to be a little bit offset the center. So all right. For those who are watching at home, Downs was getting ready to throw a red rock, and having made that mistake, what you do if you throw the wrong color stone, if you catch it before you throw it, you switch. But after it's released, if you throw the wrong color stone, the rules actually say you play it out. You don't do anything. You play it as is, sweep it, do everything else. Then when the rock comes to a stop,
you swap it out.
You mark the spot and then swap it. So like you are not a burnt rock, not forfeited. You are. I mean, you shouldn't do that, right? If you can, be better. But if you make that mistake, for those of you listening, watching, play it out, and then let it come to rest, and then swap those stones.
Wow, barely made it by there. It is out counting the other red. So we're going to see kind of a similar setup to last time where there's a center line stone and one that's guarding one behind it.
Yep, right. So Frog Legs coming down, same hit. If you're able to get that double, that's great. But I think, right here, you still want to do a hit and roll. So this is looking pretty good. You're sweeping hard to make sure it doesn't crash that guard. They're past that guard. So still over curled a bit where it rolls out, but you got rid of the one in front of the house, right? That's the more important one to get rid of. And now you're behind the T line, and so you can work with that.
We are going to take a really short break here. We're going to be back in just a little bit.
All right, and we're back. And we have a special guest with us, Tyler Leonard. Tyler has been the brainchild behind the biter bracket and the King of the Lily Pad. And I said I didn't know what the format was because Tyler was playing a coy, but we have Tyler here. So Tyler, tell us what's going on over in Sheet E. What did you cook up for the King of the Lily Pad final?
Well, in honor of the biter bracket, we are doing inverted house, where the edge of the house is the button. So the further away you are from the hole in the center, but still in the house, determines the scoring order.
Okay, we were speculating on that. So what's the strategy with that? Do you get the biter bracket, so that makes sense, but what do you anticipate these teams doing? How does that change what shots you call?
Well, I think you'd probably try to still put up guards because the other rules still apply in my version of this because I say so.
Yeah.
But there may be some wisdom in putting a pseudo guard in back behind the house to serve as backing for a future stone.
Sure.
But it remains an open question what the best strategy is. I think the Carthaginians applied more of a aggressive version of the game, but they're not here anymore. So what does that tell you?
And for those of you who have the bingo card that had Carthaginians on your bingo card, then congratulations, that should be at least 2.
Most people don't know that.
Yeah.
No need to thank me, just pay it forward.
So this is so you're right. For those of you who are watching Sheedy, you just had Yellow Rock. They're now looking to see with biter. So I think my favorite part of this though is, for those of you who don't know, there's a separate biter stone, right? Most people know or biter rod, I should say, right? If the rocks are close, you have a mechanism that, you measure what's closest to the button, but there's a separate tool used to measure if it's in the house, because the painted circles are close, but they're not actually perfect. So we hopefully we get to see some of the biter stick used here.
Oh, it's highly unpopular, yes. And I've seen the volunteers who put the circles in.
Yeah.
And great people, but I don't know if I trust them down to millimeter accuracy.
Yeah, nor should you.
But, no, you get what you pay for.
Yeah.
And they do a darn fine job.
They do. So Tyler, why did you want to kind of create the biter bracket and right, different format? Clearly it's about fun, but like, what were you thinking of? What were you thinking of when you're trying to come up with this format?
Well, it was a two-parter. And at first we kept thinking, there's a lot of teams that are getting better, and the parity of the leagues every day of the week is just getting more and more equal. And that's great. And it was filling out the entire top 8 spots in most cases, but it became pretty obvious that we're going to spill over into 9, 10, 11. There's some really high quality experienced teams that wouldn't necessarily be eligible for the championship through no fault of their own. At the same time, there's a number of teams that just couldn't quite get over that hump and end up in a consolation bracket, which was great to get a few extra games in. But we thought, wouldn't it be fun to play for something else?
Yeah.
And then in parallel to that, past championship Saturdays have been awfully lonely here. And it's like, what a shame, right? It's too anticlimactic, and the fun club is too energetic and too full of life to go out on that note. So what if we could start drumming things up? And I think a year ago, the idea of volunteer recognition and some other programming and pageantry on Championship Saturday started. And I think that was the groundswell needed to launch some brainstorming and figure out how to get a little more competition on the ice on Saturday.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that. So my last question before I let you go is, how close was your team to being in the biter bracket?
We were, the league was pretty, it's getting pretty even. We were, I think, third.
So not very close at all.
Not very close, but the way some of these games go, you're like, I don't know if we should have won that one. And it's not always reflected in the scoreboard. But there's no gimmies anymore in the Monday 6 o'clock league.
So take it back. That's my last question. How tempted were you about halfway through the season to start losing games so you could be in the biter bracket?
Well, since we were working on the trophies, I said, if I come up with a good enough trophy, we may just have to be a little off here. And some might call that an undisclosed conflict of interest, but we just got lucky now.
Yeah. So I'll tell you. So my team was in the biter bracket, and the last game of the season, if we won, we would have been the number 8 seed. And if we lose, we're in the biter bracket. And it came down to skip stones. And I've never been more happy with the loss. I would have happily won, right? Of course. But when I lost that skip stone and got in the biter bracket, I tell you, me and my team were pretty excited to go for it. So Tyler, thank you very much for having this idea and moving it forward. And thank you for spending some time with us explaining it today.
Cheers.
Yeah. Have a good one.
Toodles.
All right. We'll be back here in just a minute or two, guys. Thanks for sticking with us.
All right, and we are back just in time for skip stones. We just missed Kat's first one, but we will see Frog Legs skip first on this with I'm not going to call it an open hand. It actually looks pretty difficult. They're going to have to throw a little down weight to get there.
Yeah, it looks like on the broom, probably hack, maybe control weight coming down at it. Right, and if it over curls and you peel the guard, not the worst thing, but you'd really like to hit that and hopefully get a little bit of roll behind that center guard. Sweeping pretty hard on it. Oh, so close. Move the guard though, so right now, Downs are gonna have to replace that guard to protect it. So if they hit a good guard here, the button's wide open though.
So this was the other thing I was thinking about. Does Cat want? Is Cat okay with giving up one here?
Great
Intentionally
point,
get the hammer back, maybe have control, get a couple here. You hit that redstone out, guarantee that they can't get two.
Yep.
And then still at that point, you're still forcing a pretty tough shot because they either have to hit and depending on what you do with this.
And that's great point, but that's what they're going to do. They're going to leave their shot rock exposed and let them go for one. They're going to hit this, and maybe they roll them, maybe they don't. I think we heard him say hit and stick is great. And so they're going to give them, at this point in time now, a pretty open hit for one. But, when you don't have hammer, right, the force of one, it's something that, I've learned over the years is when I first started skipping, it was always, I want to steal, I want to steal, I want to steal. Now it's, no, like the force of one and the ability to do that and right, recognizing that is great. So this is, it's out wide, but, good ice here and that hit and stick. And you're able to, if you roll a little bit towards the middle, that's just fine.
I think you make contact. It's the most important thing. I think this strategy is make sure our opponent does not get two. Oh, that really
moved a lot. I wonder if that picked something. That moved. No one expected that to move that much, and so that looked at you see that and go, the stone hit something on the ice and moved.
That cut hard.
Yeah.
And like not very far in front of the hog line either.
Yeah. No, it was looking real good. So now you're right, this is curling, right? The ice isn't perfect. Yeah. Never sure it's going to happen, but this is now looks pretty open to me. As we just saw, rocks can do goofy things, but right, Frog Legs hit this. Now they're down 3-2, and we got ourselves a game.
You have a little bit of tolerance on the broom side because you can roll a little bit out towards the wing as long as it stays in the house.
Yep. Yeah, any kind of close to no. This is diving a bit, but it's looking good.
There's plenty of weight on it, so at this point, as long as it stays. That's a nice stone. That's a good stone for two.
Good sweep.
The
cowbells are rolling over in the Sheedy Lounge.
They're really you really saved that end on that one there. That's big. You're only down one now. Maybe settle down, have a reset. You've kind of got those early stones out of the way.
Yep. But being down one after two, more often than not, one of those teams is going to be down one after two. Yeah. Yes, you get ties, but this is we got 6 more ends of curling here, and both teams are right in it. It's going to be great. But we'll see. Down's first time with the hammer, so we'll see what they do. Right? They stole 3, and really that second end too. They played well. They had set it up to force a one, and then Rock did a goofy thing, which happens, and now they'll get the hammer and see what to do with it.
Yeah, we'll see how aggressive they come out here. This looks heavy, like it's going to be in the house, if not maybe a little deep.
Yeah, that's going through.
Ooh. The Sheedy Lounge is providing quite a bit of background sound here. They're definitely getting a little rowdy.
That's what we're hoping for. One guy looks to be wearing a curling stone hat, from what I can tell.
Yes, I believe that is the case.
So here we go. Downs right with the hammers thrown out wide. Looks like that speed, probably a guard.
Get a nice corner guard out of this. Set something up. Try to get 2.
That's carrying a bit.
Now, this is about the most perfect scenario for the Sheedy Lounge right now.
Yeah.
They have a great championship game on C that's still close enough that they can see it from where they're at. But more importantly, they finally get to have a game on E on our championship weekend.
Yes. Which is, we haven't heard much board banging during the shots, but I expect as the game goes on and the shots get more important, they will rise and bang the boards, ring the cowbells. This is coming out. They're still playing down the center. Some people might be interested in trying to do a corner freeze on that, yellow in the house there. I like the center guard. right? It's early enough and you don't need to start chasing them. Just set up the middle, try and clog it, and set yourself up to potentially steal or do a force.
I mean, I think it's the safest option. If you miss that corner freeze, you could be in a lot of trouble depending on where that ends. Give them an opportunity to split the house with 2.
Yep, very much so. Now it looks like Downs is coming behind that center guard. Good move, right? You don't want to let them do that, and you already got the one out a little bit in the wing. So sit 2 behind a guard. It's a good call. The run backs are hard. I mean, you're trying to the center line, so Frogtown can run it back, but I like the call. Just came a little bit heavy. I think.
I'm curious how you feel about this. I think run backs that are directly on the center line are harder than run backs that are slightly off of the center line.
Yeah, I think to me, if you can do a nose run back, that's always what you're looking for. And I think the center line, you think it'll be easier, and then I think you sometimes can lose a little focus with that, which is why it ends up being harder. But if you can do a nose run back, it's always a nice hit. So
they're gonna opt to try to hit this and roll under.
Yep.
I think it's maybe curling a little too much. That's pretty nice. Little exposed.
Rolled a bit, but even with that Yellowstone back there, like you have if you hit the red one out, you're probably losing your shooter.
Right. Or you're gonna jam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And so they're clearing out that guard, right? You want to keep that middle open, and you might get the double here. And if you don't, that's okay. But you want to get that guard out of the way for sure.
Opting to clear the guard here instead. If it moves enough, there we go. Okay.
Yep. Guard's out.
That's a very safe option that I think sometimes at League we don't see enough.
Yeah.
I think some folks think that pulling a guard is wasting a stone, and I think that we don't see it as often as we probably should.
Yep. Part of that's because at League, those teams don't always have the right peel weight.
That's true.
And especially this early, front of house and leagues often they don't throw as many hits, and so they're not as comfortable with it. And so sometimes might be the right call, but if you're not sure your teammate can hit that, as skip, you don't maybe always want to call that shot. So this is deeper. I think they're calling the guard here. They're offset enough where I think a nose hit here and both redstones go.
Both, yeah. Doesn't have to be too up weight. I think control down gets it there. Although it's moving a lot
moving a ton. Yeah,
they're going to get 1.
Yep. So Frogtown has a chance to put that guard back.
Tony wishes he had that one back.
He does. I've been there.
Well, I pretty much live there.
Yeah. Right. I like the guard call here. The other thing you could do is you could just start splitting the house, right? It's a little bit, if you're trying to force or steal, I like the guard, but if you were to sit your 2 separate, it's behind the T line, so you run the risk of that. But
I think if they were in front of the T line, then splitting the house maybe makes a little bit more sense.
Yep.
But because you're behind here, I think you just have less opportunities.
Yep.
Plus, you also have if it's heavy, maybe you get the freeze.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Where they're good teams here, but to be clear, these teams are still thinking about plan Bs and Cs.
Yeah. This is a club championship, which is represented by a bunch of league champions. So,
yep.
And others. Maybe this is a good time to talk a little bit about this playoff format and how we got here.
Yeah. So we a couple years ago said Dave Carey was kind of the brainchild, and I helped him with it. But it's just so exciting to see a 16-team playoff. It said for the first 12, 13 years of Frogtown, there was only 5 teams. Right. Each night had a winner. Where now each league gets a winner with the 5 wild cards. And this year, talking about the parity at Frogtown, none of the number 1 seeds in their league won their league playoffs, which is pretty remarkable. But it goes to show that any given night, right? Even the discrepancy of skill level is just not what it was. Right? It's a lot flatter than it used to be even 5 years ago. So the playoffs, where you get the 11 league winners and the 5 wild cards, you play it down, and so these teams. This is the third game today, right? The other thing to kind of watch is play 3 games in a day. It can be a bit tiring, like you're throwing and sweeping, but also there's something that's a skip. It can be mentally. You have to be so engaged for so long that it can just really kind of wear on you. And so these teams, it's the championship. Adrenaline should carry you for a while, but come ends 5, 6, 7, right? Like you gotta stay focused. But yeah, the championship format is such a cool format. We get more teams involved, and it allows teams to go on a run. That's the thing. You don't have to be the best. You're number 4, 5, 7 seed even. You get hot towards in the season. Your team starts to gel. You figure it out. You can go on a run and get here, which is so fun to see.
And now you had mentioned before there used to only be 5 teams that would play down in the club championships. That's because we had 10 leagues at that time, right?
For a while we had 10. Even we had the 3 Sunday leagues at 11. We still had to crown our official Sunday night champion. So even when we had the 3 leagues, they would. I honestly don't remember exactly how they figured it out, but there was each night had a winner.
So this alone brings more parity just for that, just for the Sunday teams at least.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And when we started off, you have a Monday night winner, and that was fine. But the Monday 8:15 team, or 8:15 Monday 6, there wasn't a natural rivalry. You saw you're right, ships passing in the night kind of thing. So it worked out, and for the first few years, we're just happy to be a club, right. And we're happy to come back next year. It was something that really started to see is this is now a proper club. We're 700 members. Mature. We're one of the larger clubs in the country. It's just and we've had to mature and grow with that. And it's just, it's fun to see the volunteers just routinely stepping up everything, right? This format was volunteers decided we think this might be better. It wasn't, we don't have a general manager. It wasn't, it wasn't even the board. I said it was someone else. It's like, I have this idea. What do you guys think to the board? And we said, let's run with it. Let's figure it out. And it's just such a fantastic, you have an idea, you run with it. And that's, I think, part of what makes Frogtown special.
Absolutely. Bare minimum, I don't know how the teams playing in it feel right now. Although if you're playing in it right now, you probably like the format. But it definitely lends to a much more fun weekend. Yeah. With the Thursday and the Saturday games.
Yeah, and talk to a handful of teams, and by and large, people like it. It's even the Thursday night first round. There's a intensity in a good tension in the club that you don't see at league night. Right? Like people try to, I've never met a team who's tried to lose. Right? Like everybody comes to try and win, but when you have to win to move to Saturday, people want to play championship Saturday. And so even that first round, they're really excited. They're taking it serious, and that's just really fun to see. So this is a very different end than the first 2 we've seen.
Very much so. I think both teams have settled in a little bit.
Yep. This is the scoring zone's a lot smaller than it was in the first couple ends, And so this is where you gotta really look at the angles, and if we hit this, what is here? Hits one rock. What does that do? I mean, this is
feels very mixed doubles.
Yeah, very much so. But everything's close to the 4 foot, still on the center line, and so it's trying to figure out.
If I hit this, then it's going to do this, and then it's going to do that.
Yeah, but what does that?
Shooter going to roll?
Yep.
Yeah.
Which is fun. Like it's something that I feel like I should have paid more attention in geometry when I was in high school for, when it comes to curling and the angles that we see. And then, I remember, for those of you at home who might remember, Donald Duck in Math Magic Land was a VHS I watched, I think, my 7th grade year. And he had Donald Duck playing pool to show you all the angles. And This feels very much like we should do an updated Donald Duck playing curling and all the angles that come out here.
That'd be great, but the licensing fees would be a nightmare.
Yeah, give it a couple years, and Donald Duck will be in the public domain.
Right.
So from our vantage point here, it's hard to see exactly who's sitting where. Right? It looks like Downs here is guarding, so they must be sitting at least one, if not two. And they must be worried about those angles, or if they're trying to run something back, they could hurt themselves.
Take the guard, take your one.
Yep.
Or maybe take the guard and then this feels a little up.
It just curled a bit more than they wanted it to. Like even at that weight, it a little up and over curled.
That might have taken away the draw that I think he was maybe trying to save for himself for the last throw.
Yeah.
We'll see. Is there a straight run back here?
Again, it goes back to the looking at that angle. What do we hit? What does it do? You know, and right, if you're frog legs here, again, throwing a rock to force one's not bad. You know, you don't want to miss and give them an opportunity for a big end. They're looking at running that center red back, and again, with so many stones, hard to tell here exactly what that will do. But it'll move things. Oh, here we go. Thank you, Peter, for pulling up that.
We do have a little bit of a delay, but this should be approximately what the house looks like right now. Okay. Oh, so yeah, yellow sitting behind T. Oh, the red to red looks pretty tantalizing.
Yeah, you might jam on that yellow. You'd have to
hit it outside.
Yep. But if you're able to do that, you're able to sit and not much of a chance. But again, like a 1-point end here for frog legs, you steal one or give one, not bad. You're setting up for a single end. When you're down one, that's a nice spot to be in, right? Nothing.
Yeah, being down two with hammer now that you've all settled down a little bit, that's not a terrible space to be in.
But if you're able to hit that and sit, they'd have a hard time getting that one out, right? They would. Yeah. That's never think it's a guaranteed steal, but that would be a pretty close. So it looks like they're coming probably back house weight, given where the broom is. You don't want to be too heavy on it.
Or are they going to do more of a down weight tap here then? Is that the plan?
Looks like. They might even be considering running that yellow back into it.
Oh, I don't like those angles.
I agree, but it's hanging out
based
there.
on that weight and where it's at right now, that's what it looks like they're doing.
Yeah.
I'm worried that this is going to give. Oh, I can't see where that ended up, but maybe.
Anytime you're running your opponent's stones is always a risk.
Oh yeah.
You always like playing with your own.
Okay. Now the thing is, I think that same yellow tap is there to give them the two.
Yep.
And you can be a little wide and heavy and hit that red that they just threw and still come up with the same outcome. Okay.
Yeah. And that's the risk when you're trying hard to steal. And I get why the inclination is there. You want to tie it, but sometimes
it's better to force.
I remember every time I call a guard, and my team goes, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm calling a guard to give them one."
Yep.
Like, what do you mean? Like, I'm guarding their 1 point so they can't get two.
Yeah.
And that's it's a weird thing to call, but sometimes after all, so there looks like they're going to run
that yellow back
Yep.
instead. I think there might be less risk with that because I don't think they can move their yellow off of where it's at in a way that would give red one.
Yep. Yeah, this is a pretty close to nose, just outside of nose even.
Yeah.
I think this is a good call. There's off the center line, so it's easier, right?
Easier to me. That just means the likelihood of me missing just goes from 75% to 85%. So. Oh, feels a little wide.
Yep. Oh, they got it though.
Worked. Oh,
that's
wow.
Great.
What a shot.
Really nice shot.
Some cat magic right there.
It is. Well, that was fantastic. Just enough. They looked a bit wide. They swept for a little bit of curl and got to where it needed to be.
Because it bounced off of that red there. Okay.
Yep.
Well, it got there. That's what matters.
Yep. So that's a really nice outcome for Downs. First time with the hammer, you get your 2. Feel pretty good.
Yeah.
Puts the pressure on Frog Legs, right? Like
that 3-point lead again.
Yep. You know, Frog Legs really has to. You got to be thinking 2 here, right?
Yep.
You have to. You can't give up a steal. You can't go down 4.
That's tough. Yeah, that'd be really tough. They still got half the game.
Yep.
But that's why if you can get 2 here, you can go 2, and you've got hammer in the even ends.
Yep.
Like you're gonna. That's the turnaround right
Yep.
here.
Get 1, you're still in it, but it puts a lot of pressure on the second half.
Yeah. That also means at a certain point you have to start thinking that you're going to need to steal.
Yep.
And that changes the calculus quite a bit as well.
Yep. So Frog Legs, right? They're going out wide. They're still setting up their deuce, right? They're not chasing down that center. You know, some teams might be tempted to curl behind that guard to make sure don't give up a steal, but you know they're playing for their 2, which I think in this point in time they need to. I think that's the right move.
I think that's one of the nice things about curling is it really incentivizes you when you are down to take the risks.
Yep.
Because you kind of need to.
Yeah.
Like playing it safe isn't going to cut it, and I mean that's the whole thing about concession culture, really. But because you can shake if things start to go sideways.
Yep.
You don't have a situation where you're the New York Jets playing out meaningless games, punting when you're down by 40 because you don't want to be down by 50.
Yeah. Yeah, so coming down the center here, again, this is a pretty typical setup. Just coming down, trying to get behind that center guard. It's looking pretty good.
Looks really nice. It's hanging out a little bit. Maybe they park it in front of the house there. Take away that make that draw underneath harder.
Yep. Much more difficult now to get behind that corner guard.
Now they opt to go for the button instead.
Yeah, he reluctantly.
He's not happy about it.
Yeah, but you kind of got to do it because if you don't, then they're going to.
Yeah.
You know, and I remember I tell my team, let me get my 1. I'll figure out 2 later.
Yeah,
you know, and some like you're always trying to set up that 2 or 3, but sometimes you have to go
beat them to the button first, and then you can worry about how to get the extra one.
You know, and right now without any other rocks in the house, like you could very easily, you know, again, the scoring circle is open here, right, with 3 guards, and so your second point might not need to be in the 4-foot.
I'd say that's a rough outcome, though.
Yeah.
Behind the tee and a little exposed.
Yep. So they're doing hit and roll here, looks like.
Feels up, though. There's a lot of weight there.
For curls enough, they'll be okay. But I think they wanted to make sure they just didn't move enough.
I think it's going to hit it, but it's enough to not be counting. But now here's a path for 2.
Yep.
They get a nice hit and roll under here. It's going to be... then Cat's going to have to remove some guards.
Yep. Which is the non-hammer team, removing your own center guards always feels
That's
weird.
tough,
Yeah, you might have to. But with that red one behind the tee line, I think you still potentially draw, but a good hit and roll here. But even the hit and roll is still gonna move behind the tee line.
Yeah, it should be. Cat also has stones to run back if they need to.
Yep.
And that's stuck around.
Looks like it spun back to maybe be a biter. So we'll see how this stone ends up, right? It's the, that looks a little, maybe a bit up. Anytime you have to go from a heavier shot to a lighter shot, right? It's, you know, it seems simple, but it's always hard when you have to make that adjustment. And
some extra mental gymnastics there.
You know, that's
not awful. You open that center up a little bit.
Yep. So I think, right. So they're going to come down and want to be front of the house, partially covered. Just at this point in time, again, you're looking for that 2 and rocks in the 8-foot are great here. Oh, that looks a little narrow.
This is tight. Although that line seems to be holding right now. But now I'm worried that it's up.
So it looks like they're going to be around those guards.
Oh.
Whoa. That was the old S curl there, right? I think that's one where neither team's happy with how that worked. Yeah. Looks like they got the chance at that double.
I don't love that angle with where the guards are, but
I think they're happy to remove that front one.
Get rid of the front one first.
Yep.
Especially if the shooter sticks out on the wing.
Yep.
Apply a little more pressure. Outcount that red, maybe.
Yep, no, they're on it hard. This looks like it's going to crash.
Gonna bump that up, so. No, but that I don't think that's going to stay.
Both teams checking out exactly where those 2 on the edges are. I think, yeah, another one down there, like frog legs with hammers playing on the center. And you know, again, the first end where Downs own the center line, this game, or this end, excuse me, frog legs has that center, and they're just trying to plant one. I think they're looking at in the house, right, count it. And you know, little light here is okay if it's a guard. You want it to be a counter, but mostly don't want to give them a hit here.
Or if it's light, I wouldn't hate if it froze up on that yellow guard.
Yeah.
Especially offset a little bit, but that's a nice outcome too, I think. If it wasn't going to make the house, that's just about the best spot it could be. There is a little room to come under it a bit, but
I think no. Yeah.
Oh, he's going to opt to run the yellow now.
Hey, this isn't a bad call. If you hit it, it's great, and if you peel it, then you have the opening for it.
Yeah, as long as it makes contact, it's going to be okay.
Yep.
And they'll have to decide if they want to throw the guard up to protect it again or bring another one in on the other side.
Yep. Looking a little wide, coming back.
Wide.
I think you're going to remove the guard, but I don't think you'll get one of the reds. Again, that was fine. You know, that was. If that's what you did, that's great. Yeah. Forces frog legs here. I think they're going to throw that guard. I think they still want it in the house.
Yeah. Especially now that they have that high center.
Yep. Come down and sit 3.
Just fully in the 12, I think, right?
Yep. Not a lot of room here.
I think they're starting to see that things are running a little bit straight.
looks a little fast. I think you're coming down. I think you're on your own red here.
Yeah, maybe they try to split it out a little bit. That might be a good plan B here. Oh. That looks pretty doubleable to me.
Yeah, I agree. To your point, it ran pretty straight.
Yeah. It does move a lot late.
Yeah. But even you get this double, you're still set up for your deuce, though.
I think so.
That's pretty open. That center guard, right, is on the other side of the center line. So I think you can see most of this rock here.
I think they can see all of it, but I'm guessing there's not a lot of a gap there.
Yep.
I think it's fully on this side of the center line. There's a little bit of a gap between the guard.
Yeah.
You'd have to throw it pretty hard to get more than nose of it, though. But I think he's got, especially if he throws it hard enough, I think he's got a lot of room for error.
Yep. And if it gets the nose, he'll be. If he gets the nose, gets that double, he'll be shot.
He should be shot, yeah. Goes wide.
If it comes back, I think he just gets the one.
Oh.
Move the stones, but there's got one out. But now that one on the wing's undercover. So this is for the what now the third shot in a row here.
Yeah.
Froglegs is trying to throw that center-ish guard in the 12-foot.
I will say with where that the positive about that outcome is I think they have more options than they did before.
Yeah.
With only one red back there, you know, even if they throw another one in here, you could come from the other side, maybe enough to outcount one of them.
Yep. This is where, you know, Froglegs needs to be front of house or guard. Like, you can't be heavy in this. You can't go past the T line.
Yeah, right. Absolutely.
That then all it takes is a draw there, and what could be a big end. Now you're hoping for one. So this looks light.
Yeah, if they can get buried underneath that guard, though. Oh, now they want the. Okay. They're gonna try to make this a little bit harder of a gap. I don't know if that really worked the way they wanted it to.
Yeah, they came out line. They were sweeping, and they called them off to try and get that little hit.
Maybe open things. Well, not open it, but
yeah.
cover more of
Yep.
more of the area. Make both draws harder. I think still that draw here is there, and again, if they can get under cover at all, it'll be really hard for red to get more than two. Well, it'd be hard to get two, but it'd be really hard to get more than two.
If he's able to hit this draw on the center line covered, then Red's going to have to do a run back for a big end.
Biting the top four is like the most perfect outcome
here,
especially if you can get that fully or at least mostly buried under the guard.
You know, it's interesting because I kind of like the other side here, but they've been throwing down this side, so you have a better sense of the line here. But where the guards are, it's hard to tell. That's a little bit of a tight port for a guard here.
It feels heavy, and they don't want to go anywhere near it. It's going to have to be an in-off. Look at that move.
Still on the heavy side, but you might be back.
Oh my goodness. Will it stick as shot? It will, but now it's exposed for three.
I think so, right? Yeah. Just came out a little bit heavy.
Wow, yeah.
Right? You wanted top four, and that was back 12 weight.
I can't believe it missed that guard. It took off and just moved
a
lot.
Here you go. This is you hit this and we're tied after 4, right? This is
Wow, it is rowdy in here.
it is. It's great to see.
Yeah. Oh, they called on immediately. I think they're by the guard.
This is looking pretty good. That's a great shot.
What a shot.
Nice
What a shot.
You know what? A nice sweep, right? They were on it right away. Like
right away, it was a great call.
Like you need to make the initial shot, but right, that was a team shot there. They called it on like in the house read it. Sweepers were hard on it to hold that line, and that's a fantastic team shot. And
we got to get back in.
Yeah,
new game.
Next thing, you're right. Tied after 4. It's a 4-run game here, right? This is fantastic. It's exactly what we're hoping for the championship. I love those team shots. You know, you know, when the person in the house, if it's the skip or the third, whomever it might be, recognizes, calls them on, their sweepers go hard the whole way, and you know, it's just something that I remember people coming to me because I need my sweepers a lot. It's like, oh, Brian, great shot. And I go, it was a great sweep. And I think it's important to recognize that because, you know, the sweepers are the unheralded folks of the team. You know, I don't know if you ever played where nobody sweeps for you, but I tell you, I thought I was a good curler. Then I played without sweepers and turned out I wasn't that good of a curler. I've had good sweepers.
I'll let my sweepers know, like, you guys made that shot.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I try to. If my shot or not, I try really hard to acknowledge sweepers. And something I love doing is telling other team good sweep.
Good sweep.
And that's when to get the acknowledgement from the other team. That was a great sweep. It makes you feel good, and that's something what I love about the curling culture, right? It's you tell somebody good shot, you tell somebody else good sweep.
Yeah.
And when people tell me that, I love it, and I love telling other team that. It's a you never root for a miss. Right? One of my favorite things to do is if I say, well, I'm going to give them this double, and if they hit it, then you turn around and say, nice shot. So this looks a little down weight, trying really hard to hold it. I don't think they're going to, though.
Opting to hit early with that stone in play rather than set something up. I'm curious if they wanted to test this, or if they were just taking advantage of the opportunity, or if they were willing to blank an end. I mean, they don't have hammer right now in the even ends, so maybe a blank was the original goal, and now they're set up to maybe get 2, and they'll play for that.
Yeah, right. But Downs, right? The frog legs went into the house. Downs immediately hit it.
Yep.
And they wanted to come back with a hit, which is when you miss, it can really put you in a bad spot. And that's where you have to know your team, right? If your lead throws a fair amount of hits throughout the year, you got to feel comfortable with that. But if your lead doesn't throw a lot of hits, I'm not sure I want the championship of is when I'm starting to call a little bit different for you,
Well, and I know that Kat's willing to have lead call hits, and I know that Scott, who is Kat's lead right now, can throw them because I ask him to throw hits all the time. So I play with Scott on Sunday nights. So.
This is the same thing. This is a little bit down weight over curling.
Oh.
Even if you nick it, it's not going to do much. This is frog legs is going to be chasing this end to not give up a big one. Right, you're 3 rocks in, no rocks in play. It's you're going to need your back of house here to throw some heavy doubles.
This looks like that first end, except now Kat's got hammer.
Yep, exactly. So a little worried about this one over curling. He's holding it well. That's a nice sweep.
That's a good sweep here.
Really held that.
Protect that center stone, which probably is better with the way that those two stones are lined up. Although I think the double's still there. They got to throw with a lot of weight to make them both go away.
Yep.
But
yeah, you get the nose or inside of nose.
Yep.
They can both go, but it's a good rock. Got one of them out, just wasn't enough weight to get them both. And there's somebody who struggles with real heavyweight. I can appreciate that. I was chatting with a friend last night, and he was like, "Yeah, I can throw up weight, but I'm most comfortable at control." And we're like, "Yeah, that's what control means." Like you're not breaking news here, my friend. But I tell you, those folks who have that real heavy peel in their bag, you don't need it often, but when you need it, you need it.
When you got to move 3 stones,
Yep.
yeah, it's nice to have that in your back pocket.
Yep.
It's nice to have, as someone who skips a lot, it's nice to have someone on your team who has that in their back pocket.
Yep.
Yeah. But sometimes you play that, and that's it's your golf bag, really.
Yeah.
Like, what do you got in your golf bag? What is your team willing to throw? What is your team capable of throwing?
Yep. So I haven't talked about the King of the Lily Pad. Close game over there too.
Very
right? That's as Tyler explained, right? It's the biter. So the farthest from the button is how you score. But that's a 1-point game after 4. And kudos to those team, right? They didn't know what they're walking into. Completely different strategy than how you normally play, and they're adjusting and they're figuring that out. And so that's really fun to see those two teams, do that and adjust and that's just fantastic. And that's the Sheedy Lounge is even more full than it was when we started.
Oh yeah,
and,
we've got 20, 30 people over there
Yep.
right now. And they're starting to get rowdy.
Yep. So Frog Legs now coming around on this end.
Yeah.
It was looking bad, and right the one guard over curled a bit, left it exposed, and now there's still the chance of a huge end for Downs is less right now the way it's set up.
Now,
Still multiple, but when you if the 3 rocks and all 3 of your rocks are out, you're worried about giving up a 3 or 4, and that's a lot less likely now than it was about 2 rocks ago.
now it looks like he's opting to try to hit the inside of that red and maybe roll under.
Trying to move that right because the way it's set up now, that's a little bit loaded.
That's depending on how deep that's at. That's not terrible.
That's pretty good, right? It moved that red enough where that run back for that red is much more difficult than it was before that stone.
I think you just left them a really nice pocket to basically negate any big end here, though.
Yeah.
And maybe force at least a steal, if not a force.
You're still in front of the T line though, so it even.
Are they? Oh, they are. They are. Yeah. Okay.
Right. So you hit that pocket. That gives you the run back for something better, but like if you hit that pocket, the most you're probably giving up is 2.
Yeah.
Which again, the way the end started, only giving up 2 here is a pretty good outcome. Yeah. Oh, this is going to be close. Don't want to run that guard back. They called it early. They're holding that line. They're really holding that. That's going to be.
Oh, what a sweep! They busted that the entire way. I feel bad
without
about
that.
not getting
Without
it.
that good of a sweep, though, that yellow runs back.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So it was a missed shot, but that sweep prevented it from being worse.
Bad. Yeah.
Right. Like
bad
that's.
shot.
And now it's open. So now you can either, Downs are going to try and guard it. But if they miss this guard, like that's heavyweight shot could get both of them out, right? You can get right in that middle there. But that was a fantastic sweep because if that curls too much more, that yellow runs back, and now you're in a world of hurt.
And that said, if Downs here nails this draw, it's going to be really, really tough.
It's not moving.
Oh, wow. It's really just hanging out there. Oof.
And
it's guarded, though.
Yeah,
so.
and in a fine spot. But A little wide, a little heavy, I think, than what they wanted.
How do you feel about a draw on the right side here? Just to try to get on the inside of your own red and maybe spin yourself towards the button. Because I don't think running that red back really does much. You're not going to stick anything.
The advantage of running the red is you could remove one of theirs. Again, the draw here is you're probably giving up 2. So it depends on how confident you feel with what else you're doing, right? Like if you don't want to give up 2, you probably have to hit your own red to try and remove one of those yellow stones. If you're okay giving up a deuce here in the 5th end, then I'll really like that draw call, right? Because if you're in front of, if you touch either of those yellows, your rock's not going anywhere. And then how do they score number 3?
If we're running a red, I'd rather run the one on our left.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I also don't mind having that as like an in-off as well. You could throw inside out at that, maybe get a nice angle in.
Yeah.
And then get rid of maybe one of those, if not 2.
Yeah. I don't think I'd play the in-off yet.
I wouldn't do it now.
Yeah.
No. That'd be the reason, like, that's why I wouldn't want to raise that one yet either.
Yep. I mean, you could try, which what they're looking at doing is running that yellow back, run that yellow guard back, hope for the double. There's some risk, right? I think if you're wide on this, you could hit your own. I mean, you're sitting 2, 3, 4, or excuse me, 3, 4, 5. But if you're on that yellow back and crash one of them out, right? We talked this a couple ends ago. Always risky playing the opponent's stones back.
Yep.
You know, if you're able to make this double, and even if you just peel, then it opens up to let you come after those 2.
The peel's dangerous just because of where all the reds,
Yeah.
all your reds
Yep.
are. Because I just have a hard time believing you're not going to at least run into one of those.
Yep.
And potentially jam, which is also kind of puts you in the same problem.
Yep.
Oh, it's over. Oh.
I don't think that's what they were going for.
I don't think so either. Now, the real question is that yellow out counting the red. It's hard to see from here right now. We'll see in just a second.
Yeah, it looks like it is though.
If any of you at home are annoyed by the fact that it takes us multiple extra seconds to be able to see the overhead view, there's a simple solution for that, and it's maybe donating some extra money to the club so we can get some additional AV equipment upstairs. Just throwing that out there, you know.
You can send the check care of Peter Granlund. It'll go to the right spot eventually.
Credit to the president of the Frogtown Curling Club, AV Club.
Yeah. Even on the overhead view, that's close.
I think it's red,
Yeah.
but that's probably too close for them to make a call down there as well.
I mean, right, if you're yellow, you're tempted to go for something big. I think looks like they're calling probably a guard. And I think that's the right move, right? You're sitting 2, maybe 3.
Oh, yeah.
You don't want to let them come after your rocks.
And I think even the heavy and or maybe even a little wide is probably not bad.
Yeah.
As long as you don't throw harder than like T-line
Yep.
weight, this should be fine.
Yeah, right. If you're able to, right, I don't think this is, well, it's running pretty straight. This even might be the call, right? You get to the inside of that red, you nudge it out, so you make sure your back one's counting, and then you roll the center. Like a perfect shot here, they could be sitting 4.
Oh yeah, for sure. It might be over curling for that.
Yeah, they're not. I don't think they're on that red one. There's
Now they got to avoid the front yellow, or else hit it and get a nice guard. Then I don't think that's what they wanted either.
no, I think it just came out light. I think it overcurled on them.
Well, this would be a very good way to keep them to 2. But now, I think it's open enough that they might be able to get there. I don't know if they can get to the.
I don't know if they can get the shot, but they're able to get one out, and then force them to have to hit for 2.
Yeah. And I think you have a little bit of room for error, because I think
Yep.
if you hit as long as it's just a very thin amount of that red, you're going to get the same outcome.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
And if anything, at that point, that should be enough to make sure that you're guaranteed to be sitting third.
Yeah, and if you hit that red, it's going to move over. Then you're going to be a little bit undercover behind those yellow center line guards.
Heard an early sweep call on that.
Looking a little wide.
Looks heavy. If they don't get to the inside of that,
that's pretty good.
Did they reduce him to 1? I'm not sure.
But that red's not going anywhere, so it's.
Well, and this is Cat's last. Like, this is one of those, do you throw it away? Oh, they are sitting second. Okay.
Yep.
Wow, what a shot.
Yeah. Early sweep call, but it was the right move to get him off of it. Like, that was, again, great job by the third there, too. Your initial call, but then give it a second, realize, nope, maybe the broom maybe was a bit narrow, so he called it on early. But then seeing what was happening, you adjust. You're looking at those center guards to try and run something back. I don't think it's there.
I don't think there's anything
right. They're off center.
Unless drag effect is in play. Like, are they close enough for that? I don't think they are.
Yeah, they might be looking at that in off off the red.
Oh, that's. You have to hit that pretty thick and heavy. And it's still kind of locked up on that yellow that if you don't hit it just right, you're maybe giving them 1.
But if you hit it, it's 3.
It's true. I would just make sure that the miss is that you hit that red really thick and you don't mess it up. Like, if you're not going to get there, don't jeopardize your 1.
Yeah, it's.
I mean, it's only 1, but yeah, like, I guess.
This is where someone you come for level with hammer. Do you mind the steal? And then now you have hammer in the 6, right? So now you're down 1 after 5, but you have hammer 6 and 8. Yeah. Do you think you can get, your deuces in 6 and 8? Where now it's not a terrible spot. I have one of my friends who skips absolutely throws this shot. Yeah. I would not.
The in-off here?
Yeah, I'd be worried. It's a hard shot. I'd be worried about jeopardizing my 1. But my buddy Dane would absolutely do the shot. Dane, yeah. What's for 3? Why wouldn't you do it? And I get why. Like, it's definitely not the wrong call. Oh, he just looks like he's throwing it away. Yeah. Yeah, they decided to not do it. Take the 1.
So that's funny. I was just gonna say, I think my Thursday team, my vice would tell me that we should throw it. After I came down and said, I think we're throwing it away, and we would talk about it for a couple of minutes, and we'll see how much he can jazz me up if we're throwing it or not.
But this is where, right, talking about when you're down. If you're down, you throw that shot.
Yes, absolutely.
Right? If you're down,
desperation time.
Yeah, if you're down 2, you go, well, 1 doesn't do me any good. I have to throw that shot for 3. But when you're sitting on, I still better to be up after 5 than down after 5.
Yes.
That's where you want to have such a good rapport with your third to be able to talk that through. And you want to know, what are we comfortable with? What's our risk tolerance?
Yeah.
Again, perfect shot can get you 3, but half an inch otherwise, you give up 1.
Right.
And so it's just knowing, having that relationship with your third to be able to talk that through. And at this point in time, right, playing all season, you kind of know what you like to throw, confidence level on those abilities, and that's a huge part. Something that I think is oftentimes underrated with curling is the relationship you build with your team to have hard conversations, and oftentimes in 30 seconds.
Yes.
And you have to be comfortable to say, dude, no, or yeah, let's go for it. And we're not playing with the buzzer here, right? So there's a little bit more time than league. But you still don't want to be on the ice until 9 for an 8-inning game, you know. But to have that relationship you build, knowing when to make a suggestion, when to not, when to have, you know, let's go for it. And those are all things that are built up throughout the year or over the years playing with people. Right? That's something that, you know, new teams, when they come together, you can all be good curlers, but you have to then figure out how to curl together. It's not just about making shots. That's a huge part of it, maybe the most important part, but it goes beyond that, right? Like, you can make good shots, but if you don't figure out how to work together as a team to understand what we like to throw, understand that strategy, when to go for it, when to be safe, because then you just fight, and if you're fighting, you're going to miss shots, you know? And so I think it's a great job there by Team Downs to really know what they're comfortable with and what they're willing to have, and love that. It was just, you know, what you're hoping for from that team.
Yeah, there's a lot of psychology in the sport.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of psychology in a lot of sports, but I think the way that how much of a team sport this is, despite not always necessarily feeling like it.
Oh, we're going to get to replace the stone here.
Oh, we are.
It was I thought it was an aggressive call with what they're doing, but
I like the call. I think maybe she was just a touch narrow.
It looked like at the end she moved it.
Yeah,
like right,
yeah.
The which, like, again, God knows I've done.
Well, right, yeah. Again,
so yeah, it's when I say that, it's no shade.
Yeah.
It's just like, I think it's what happened, right? No judgment or negative comments toward that. Just that looked like what happened to me.
We're still league curlers here.
Yeah. Yeah, like if you hit that hit and roll behind the guard, it's a really nice shot, but it's an aggressive call, right? Because they're in the 12-foot, so you can curl behind your own and sit shot. You can go behind those centers and get to it. So I like the call, right? Because here with hammer, you're looking for the deuce, and that was a call to get your 2, set yourself up for that too.
I don't hate it because they already had the corner guard. Even if you're a little wide and you roll out to the wing, you've got your protected corner guard, or you've got your protected cornerstone as well. So like that's ultimately it's I think it's a little risk.
Yeah.
It's for potentially a very nice reward, and I think you had a lot of options. Unfortunately, that was the one thing that like probably messed with you the most. But the thing is, even if we weren't in the 5-rock rule, that miss doesn't really change anything either. So
and if you hit and roll out, they don't have the one in the house, right? So it's really good outcomes that can happen. That one going through hurts a bit.
Yeah, yes it does.
You know, because now, again, going back, this set up very similar to the first end, right? Where Downs has one in the house, there's corner guards, right? They're owning the center, so it's going to put pressure on Frog Legs to have to hit a shot. And the way they're staggered, doubles here are going to be harder.
Well, and does this maybe tie into the psychology of the decision on that last end? Like, was Kat more willing to be like, you know what, let's go ahead and not have hammer. Let's see if we can.
Great sweep to get around that. Sorry, this is
great throw.
Great throw and great sweep. They missed that. They missed that guard by, you know, quarter of an inch maybe, right? Like, that was fantastic sweep, great throw. Again, that's the great team shot we talked about, right? Like, on it right away, sweepers going hard, right? And now Frog is just peeling guards. So it looks like they'll get one of the guards. I'm not sure they're going to get the one that they wanted.
They're going to get the one on this, on our left. Oh, I think there was a thought that if they let it curl a little more, maybe they could get 2, but I don't know if there was enough weight for that.
Yep.
That probably was the best outcome.
Yeah. And that's something, knowing when to, I think it was Jim McMahon was telling me, he's like, go to plan B soon and be committed.
Yes.
Like,
commit
right?
to plan B early.
Like halfway down, it's too late. Yep. You might not be right when you call it early, but you have a better chance of it. Like, just do it early. And that was one where, but I think it was down weight enough where, like, what you didn't want to do is then accidentally give them one more in the house.
Yes,
you know, like,
an accidental tap back, or maybe split the stones in a way that's not ideal.
Yep, this is
This one feels a little
It's
heavy.
a bit up, but if it curls enough, it'll tap that yellow back.
It might be running a little bit. Now they're fully on the pin here.
Yeah.
And well guarded.
Yep.
It doesn't even matter that stone's behind, even if they hit it and froze on it, like it's not really mattering. Shout out to all the folks in the Sheedy Lounge.
Yeah, Sheedy Lounge.
We love you all.
Fantastic. We still got looks like a different guy now with the blue curling stone hat on.
Oh yes, Todd's got it on now.
I hope they washed it first.
If you are disappointed that we are not in the Sheedy Lounge with them right now, might I suggest a donation to the Frogtown Curling Club so that we can build a